Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to be talking specifically about fragrance news. I'm sharing what's new or what's been announced in the past week, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons. I'm going to be sharing with you my intention about whether or not I would like to try these items or not. This is a weekly series that we do here called Smash or Pass, where we just have a lighthearted discussion about what's new in fragrance. If you're interested in seeing more videos, I post 5 total videos every single week, Monday through Friday, and I also post additional content on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES. If you are unaware, I'm also launching a new podcast this Wednesday called The Fragrance Report. It'll be available on Spotify, so be sure to check me out on Spotify and follow me on there so you can watch that episode as well. We have a lot to get into, so I'm just going to get right on into it. There's quite a variety here. I am excited about some of these. Some of these other ones, maybe not so much, but yeah, let's just get started. First up is a new release by the fragrance house Kheir, and I might be mispronouncing this so badly, and if I am, please forgive me. The proper spelling of this brand is Kheir, and they have launched a few new items. This is their latest release that they've announced, and this is essentially a perfume called Pretty Please. I am really interested in this perfume, specifically because it has the note of red wine. And in this fragrance house especially, they have so many really interesting launches. I'm actually on their wait list for their travel sprays. They have 3 launches so far. So they have this launch coming, and then they have some 2 other ones that they've already had. I'm on the wait list for the travel sprays of all of these because I want to purchase them and review them and see what all the fuss is about, because I personally am really excited about these launches or about this fragrance house. So this is their newest one though. So this is a red wine inspired scent, and this perfume has top notes of cherry, almond, plum, and red wine, a mid of heliotrope, magnolia, jasmine, and orris, and then a base of vetiver, cedarwood, labdanum, sandalwood, white musk, tonka, and oud. This is described as a unisex fruity gourmand perfume. And to be quite honest, you might already know this if you watch the channel on a regular basis, but I am very picky when it comes to cherry scents. In fact, most cherry scents are scents that I'm usually not going to gravitate towards because it's very difficult to do cherry in a unique way, in my opinion, and a lot of brands miss the mark when it comes to creating a new cherry fragrance that we haven't smelled before. In this case, I think this is a very intriguing play on the cherry note. I am super excited about this specifically because they're putting red wine in here, and it's not every day that you encounter a red wine fragrance. I have a decant of Liquide Imaginaire Bloody Wood. That is also a red wine perfume, and the way they do that is by really amping up the fruity notes, so it smells like a light and bubbly, almost like a dessert wine scent. I'm hoping that this will be a darker interpretation of a red wine perfume because I personally have yet to smell a fragrance like that, so that's also why I'm really excited about this. But the creator behind this brand, her name is Sihem. I've been following her for ages on TikTok. This is an influencer created brand, by the way. Niche quality influencer created brand. And I'm just really excited about this release, or I'm really excited about this brand. And I'm happy to see the positive outlook or the positive feedback that this brand has received so far. And I'm really looking forward to trying their fragrances. Next up is another new release by Mejuri. This is called Imperial Vanilla. So this is a unisex perfume as part of their permanent line, and this will have notes of brown sugar at the top, a mid of rose and jasmine, and then a base of vanilla, caramel, and tonka bean. Now, this is something that smells, or that sounds like it would smell very delicious, but I am very picky when it comes to this, I would say the rose, sugar, and vanilla combo, because at this point I have a few fragrances in my collection that adhere to that scent profile, so I don't really need another iteration of that in my collection unless it's something completely different. So this is something that straight off the bat I can tell you I'm probably not going to be keeping an eye out too much for this, but I would be open to smelling it out, or smelling it and trying it out. But this is not something that I am looking for. I'm not looking for a new vanilla with these supporting notes. It's just not something that's for me. But if you're interested in a new vanilla with brown sugar, with rose, and these notes speak to you, this is an interesting fragrance to try. And side note, I will say this, I find that with a lot of these videos that I do talking about new releases without actually trying them, people get very judgmental about me even sharing an opinion on a new release without trying it first. But I will just say this, I am trying to do these videos to inform you, to share about what's new, and to kind of tell you, okay, this is new, this might be something to consider or keep an eye out for, because not a lot of other sources on the internet aggregate all these releases from different sources and present them in a easy way to digest. You kind of have to look for them, or you have to be told about them. So that's why I do these videos, because I just want to inform you about what's new, and it's up to you as a consumer to make your own decision about what you like and don't like. I'm of course going to be sharing my opinions, but just know, if I've tried it, I'm going to tell you. If I haven't tried it, I'm going to also tell you that. So, that's just my 2 cents. Last week I talked about Born to Stand Out's Be My Cookie fragrance. At that point, we didn't really have any notes associated with this perfume. Now we do, and this is a new fragrance. It's called Be My Cookie. I believe it's limited edition for the holidays, and this has top notes of raspberry, a mid of castoreum and crunchy cookie, and then a base of vanilla, scatole, and tonquitone. Tonquitone. I'm not familiar with most of these notes, not gonna lie. I'm intrigued just by the fact that these are unfamiliar notes to me. This is a little bit more complex than I originally planned, because if you look at the accords, at least this is on iFragrance, one of the fragrance news websites I use to source for these videos, but this is supposed to have amber, leather, and fruity accords. I am extremely intrigued by that, because when I initially saw the marketing for this and I initially got people's first impressions, they were saying that it smells like a sugar cookie. And yes, to be fair, there are a lot of sugar cookie fragrances out there, or fragrances that could smell like a sugar cookie. So I was kind of like, okay, this smells good, or this sounds like it would smell good, but you know, but I'm very intrigued by the leather and castoreum notes in here. Like I am intrigued. I would like to try this out. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if I'm blind by this. I mean, let's just be honest, but I would be interested in trying this out. We also have an update from Sniff. They have released the note list for their Naughty Nona fragrance, which is inspired by fruitcake. And I touched on this in last week's video, but I wanted to revisit this to kind of give you an idea of what the notes are supposed to smell like. This has notes of candied ginger, bits of orange, prune, rum, walnut, and vanilla glaze. Now, I personally do not like fruitcake, and this fragrance is inspired by fruitcake. I have tried fruitcake a few times. I'm just not a fan of it. But I do love a candied citrus smell. And from what I've seen online about this fragrance so far, I have not tried this fragrance, but what I've seen online is people are saying that this is like a candied bitter orange, and I really like that. That's my jam. Quite literally. That's what I like when it comes to citruses. I like citruses that have a little bit of a twist to them, and the fact that candied orange would be in this is very intriguing, or the fact that this would smell kind of like a candied orange, that's intriguing to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this out. I will be going to Scent Explorer, and Sniff will be there. So I'm hoping I'll be able to try out all their fragrances, because I've tried a handful. I haven't tried everything. I'm looking forward to going to the Sniff booth and trying everything, and I will likely be taking you guys with me. I mentioned my podcast at the beginning of this video. So that's going to be called the Fragrance Report. In that podcast, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of different things. I did an announcement video last Friday talking about this in greater detail, so you can revisit it if you want to learn more. But essentially, I will be talking about Scent Explorer in that podcast once I go to Scent Explorer. I have a few, plans for what I want to do, but I will be covering Scent Explorer in that podcast. I will likely be chatting about it there. So if you're interested in seeing that, definitely check out my podcast. I'm launching the first episode on Wednesday, which will actually be a Q&A of questions you guys have submitted that I will be answering on the podcast. Okay, so we have a new release by Lattafa. At this point, to be honest, Lattafa is launching releases time and time and time again. They are basically launching them back to back. I mean, essentially, Lattafa has become the fashion nova of the fragrance world. I'll say that, I'll stand by it. That may or may not be a bad thing depending on how you look at it, but they are launching a new fragrance, Mayar Cherry Intense, and this is a perfume that will have notes of strawberry and bergamot at the top, a heart of cherry jam and cacao, and then a base of vanilla, patchouli, and amber. Now, I have Mayar, the original. I actually have it out because I've been wearing it. I really like this perfume. It's a good one. I was looking at Mayar Intense, and based off of the general aesthetic of the bottle, for some reason, I just assumed that this would be kind of like a cherry smoke inspired fragrance. And it looks like it's like its own independent fragrance, so okay, that's great. I kind of wish that they would come out with like a cherry smoke adjacent perfume, like something that smells like cherry, but like a burned cherry. Because I love cherry smoke from Tom Ford. I'm not gonna pay for cherry smoke by Tom Ford. So if someone wants to come out with something that's similar, like I'm not saying a dupe, something that's similar but not that expensive, I would be down to try that. But yeah, I'm intrigued by cherry jam. I mean, okay, at this point, y'all know the drill. If you're a subscriber to this channel, y'all know when it comes to a Middle Eastern fragrance release, I will likely get a decant of it and I'll be reviewing it on the channel. So I've been getting decants of a ton of fragrance releases, specifically because so many are coming out that, like, in order to catch up, I feel like I can only really get decants because I don't want to have a collection of fragrances that I blind bought just to blind buy and review them. Like I'm not about that life. I'm not doing that. So I will be getting my decant of this as soon as I can, and then I'll be reviewing it in my in one of my videos here for you. Because I usually do like bulk reviews of like 5, 6 fragrances at a time in decant form. So if you want to see some of my reviews on some popular Middle Eastern fragrances, check my channel. I have a ton of them. And I'm going to continue doing them as well. So yeah, I already can tell you I will be trying this out just out of curiosity, but I will not be buying the full size bottle blind. I feel like if I didn't have a channel, I might be more inclined to do that, but because, or just like depending on the release, but because I have a channel and because I review fragrances, it's becoming more and more impractical for me to buy fragrances in their full bottle form unless I literally am so interested in the fragrances, I want to try them out. Because if I love a fragrance, I'm gonna be featuring it many times. I'm gonna be wearing it in my personal life. If I bought a fragrance just to try it, I run the risk of not using it that much, and I run the risk of it literally causing clutter in my collection. And that's just too much for me at this stage. Like, I can't do that. Let's talk about a brand that I truly love and appreciate. This is Theodoris Catwoman. They are coming out with another fragrance. This is in collaboration with Perfumix. I think they might be a European fragrance distributor. I might be wrong. Yeah, so this isn't made exclusively for Perfumix. I don't know the availability of this, but this is a fragrance called Theodoris Catwoman's Amaretto Peach. I love Theodoris Catwoman. Looking at my collection, I have a lot of fragrances from them. They're one of my favorite fragrance houses, and whenever I speak about Theodoris Catwoman, keep in mind I've tried most of their fragrances, and their gourmands are gourmands that I can get behind and that I really love. So I already know that based off of my experience with Theodoris Catwoman that I love their fragrances, or I love most of their fragrances anyway. So keep in mind when I talk about them, I'm talking about it through that lens. But yeah, this is Amaretto Peach. So let's get into the notes because they actually recently did launch a collection of 3 fragrances, which I'm already super excited about anyway. And this is another release. So this has notes of peach, sugar, amaretto, vanilla, and cocoa. Sounds delicious. I'd be interested in trying this out. We'll see. I'm more inclined probably to get my hands on the other 3 fragrances. Moving on, we have another release by the Brazilian brand O Boticário, and this is called J.U.S. Banana. I am not Brazilian. I cannot speak Portuguese. If I'm mispronouncing this, I very much apologize, but this is a new release that is banana inspired. So this fragrance will have top notes of banana, pear, and Sicilian lemon, a mid of jasmine, blueberry, and rose, and then a base of vanilla, sandalwood, musk, and cedar leaves. Now, this is personal preference, but I am not a fan of banana fragrances. I have like probably one perfume that smells even remotely like banana. Wait, no. Yeah. I have one perfume with the note banana, and that's it. Like, that's all I want. I don't want another banana perfume, so this will be a pass. But if you do like banana fragrances, this might be one to try. Personally, I don't want to smell like banana. That is a personal preference, so there you go. Next up, we have not necessarily a new fragrance, but a really cool new item from Dolce & Gabbana. As you may already be aware of, they have their private line of luxury designer fragrances. So they have their, mass market designers that we're all familiar with, and they have some exclusive boutique-only designer the luxury designer fragrances that they sell in their boutiques very exclusively, and they're coming out with a jewel bottle cage that you can actually pair with any of your private collection designer Dolce & Gabbana perfumes. And this is what it looks like. It's a limited edition launch that's only available in select boutiques or on their website. I don't have any pricing here. I don't know how much this will be. I am assuming this will be a premium. This is the kind of thing that I personally would not buy, but I can appreciate this from a marketing standpoint and from like a fragrance lover standpoint as well. I love the idea of kind of giving your target demographic something to collect, giving them a really fun and beautiful way to display your fragrances. I think that's a really clever way of marketing, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's a jewel encrusted, cage for your Dolce & Gabbana fragrances. So if you are a Dolce & Gabbana private collection customer, this is, I think, a beautiful gift. Or this is something that you could gift yourself. You could say that you want it for Christmas. It's like one of those holiday gifts that could be really beautiful. And while this is not something that I'm going to be getting, I can appreciate it, looking at it, and I can appreciate it as being a good release for their target demographic. So we have a few celebrity fragrances, starting out with a new release by Khloe Kardashian. So she is launching XO Khloe, and this will have notes of crystallized rose petals, lavender, sage blossom at the top, a heart of orange blossom water, praline, and juicy peach, and then a base of moss, tonka bean, softwood, and sexy musk. I have not tried like a ton of the Kardashian fragrances. I actually do have Kim Kardashian's Pure Honey, which I consider to be a classic, but I am not going to be buying celebrity fragrance just because. And to be honest, like, I mean, it's clear that they're trying to do like a mass market appeal. They're trying to create a fragrance that's going to appeal to as many people as possible. Um, and that's great, but it's just not something that I'm going to go out of my way to purchase, but I can appreciate her coming out with this. And I feel like if this is, this is around the holidays, if you're going to gift someone a fragrance and they happen to really like the Kardashians, if they don't happen to have a big collection, this might be just the fragrance for them. I'm looking at the notes and I can't really imagine anyone like hating it. I mean, obviously I haven't smelled it, but it's one of those like, fail-safe perfumes. You can kind of tell they're not taking a lot of risks, but at the same time, this is not necessarily going to be a fragrance that people dislike. I mean, they might dislike it just because it's a Kardashian fragrance, which, is another topic entirely, but this is one of those safe fragrances that, is it for me personally? No. Is it good for someone else? Probably, but it's just not going to be a fragrance I'm going to get, but I can still appreciate them coming out with a fragrance. I mean, what's the harm? Next up, we have a new fragrance by Dolly Parton. This is another celebrity fragrance, and Dolly Parton is obviously iconic. She is an icon, a legend. She is the moment. And this is a perfume called Smoky Mountain Gold. And this is a limited edition flanker of her 2022 edition Smoky Mountain. The fragrance this time will have a different composition and a gold covered bottle. This has top notes of passion fruit, green mandarin, and black currant, amid of lily and the valley, water lily, salted ylang ylang, and jasmine, and then a base of musky vanilla, liquid amber, resinous gaiac wood. Now, I love Dolly Parton. I think she's amazing. Who doesn't? I'm not going to get this either for the same reason I'm not going to get the Kardashian or Khloe Kardashian perfume. It's not something that I'm interested in. I don't need this. It is limited edition too, so that's why I'm like, okay, I try not to get limited edition fragrances. That's like my own personal guideline, so I can create evergreen content for you as much as possible. I'm not gonna get limited edition fragrances when I can help it. But this is going to be $100. So yeah, I will say this. I I come from a marketing background. I find Dolly Parton fascinating because if you look at her longevity and if you look at the way she has kind of like touched political topics but not really, she has an innate ability to appeal to virtually everyone, whether it be people on the left or people on the right. And I'm not being political here, I'm just talking about it very objectively. She has a really like savvy ability to appeal to so many different people without alienating anyone. And that is so commendable. I watched this YouTuber. Her name is Be Kind Rewind. She actually talks about film, television history. If you're into that at all, check her out. But she did a video talking about Dolly Parton. It was like an hour-long video a few years ago, and she really touched on some amazing points. So I know I'm talking about fragrances here, but if you are in any way interested in deep dives on pop culture, movies, television shows, or interested in Dolly Parton and kind of seeing the trajectory of her brand and popularity, check that video out. It's really, really cool. But what that video taught me, and it kind of like opened this door for me, like opened this door for my brain to kind of like conceptualize this. But Dolly Parton is a media mastermind. Like she has had so much longevity, and the fact that she's coming out with a fragrance like this and the fact that people are excited about it, I mean, she's amazing. And yeah, she's wonderful. She's Dolly Parton. Those are all the fragrances I wanted to talk about today. This was a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, some fragrances I'm really interested in trying out for myself, and some that I'm maybe not so much. But let me know, what did you think of these fragrance releases? And if you're interested in seeing more chit chat about fragrance releases, fragrance trends, really deep dives on the fragrance industry, check out my podcast. It's launching this Wednesday. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.